Hi everyone, I'm attorney Aiden Durham with 180 Law Co. in Colorado. Welcome back to All Up in Your Business, where today we're going to do something a little different, a little fun. You know, normally around here I like to get all up in your business, but today I'm gonna let you into mine, and I'm gonna show you exactly how much money I made in 2022 as a lawyer slash YouTuber, influencer, whatever you want to call it, content creator. Anyway, I'm gonna show you how much money I made last year. Before we get into all that fun stuff though, if you want to get even more all up in my business, you can follow me on Instagram at All Up in Your Business. I really hope you do. I also really hope you subscribe if you haven't already. Click that little bell so you get notified anytime I post a new video, and check the description for links to additional information and resources. And even though we're not really going to talk about legal stuff in this video, I am a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer. The stuff I talk about in any of my videos isn't a substitute for actual legal advice. If you need help with any legal matter, you should consult with a lawyer who's licensed in your state. So a few things I want to cover before we really dig into my numbers and talk about how much I made. First of all, why? Why am I doing this? I'm not just trying to like brag or anything, brag how much money I made. Compared to a lot of other lawyers, it's really probably not all that impressive. No, the reason I'm doing this is a few reasons. Number one, I'm nosy. I'm a nosy person. I figure some of you probably are nosy as well. I really like learning about how much people make, how much they spend on things. And so hopefully some of you are like that too and will find interesting things in this video. Number two, when I was considering going to law school, thinking about starting my own practice, thinking about becoming a YouTuber, I would have really appreciated having more resources out there to get a realistic impression, a realistic idea of how much money can I actually make from being a lawyer? How much money can I actually expect to make from starting my own solo law practice? How much can I expect to make from a YouTube channel? I think there is a lot of info about how much you can make on YouTube. I'm sure a lot of other creators have done stuff like this, talking about how much they made off of YouTube. For lawyers though, it's not quite as readily available, and I would have really liked to have that info available to me. So hopefully this helps some of you if you're considering going to law school or maybe even starting your own solo practice. And finally, I think it's kind of dumb that it's so taboo to talk about money. Like it's in poor taste to ask someone how much money they've made or how much they spent on something. I don't really swing that way. I think we should talk about it more. I think it benefits everybody on, you know, the general grand scale if we are more open about money and financial stuff. Listen, if you're not comfortable talking about money, if you're not comfortable asking about money, then don't. I personally don't give a shit. I'll ask someone, hey, how much are you making over there? Hey, how much did you spend on that thing? If they don't want to tell me, that's perfectly fine, but I'm still gonna ask. And I think that should be okay. Now, I have a few different streams of income, a few different ways that I make money. Number one, of course, my law practice, the legal services that I provide to my clients, the money that they pay me in exchange for those legal services. Kind of connected to, but separate from my law practice, I have an online DIY trademark course called Brandish that I sell. Of course, I have this YouTube channel. I make ad revenue from YouTube. When my videos play, ads play in the beginning, during, and after the videos sometimes. I don't know exactly how it works, but I get paid some money because of those ads. And then also connected to my YouTube channel, I have some brand partnerships where companies and brands will pay me in exchange for talking about their brand or their products or their services in my videos, mentioning them in a video, doing a review, that kind of thing. And I also get some affiliate income from affiliate links. Like if you check the description, some of those links down there are affiliate links. So if you click a link and buy a thing through that link, I make a few bucks through that as well. For those of you who might be new here, are like, who is this chick? Okay, she's a lawyer. What kind of law does she do? That doesn't mean anything to me. Tell you a little bit about me and the kind of law that I do. I'm a business lawyer. I do business and intellectual property. I'm strictly transactional. I don't go to court. I don't sue people. I don't stand in front of a judge or do any of that kind of stuff. Most of my work, if not all of my work, is spent behind a computer typing up things. I do a lot of different things, but most of what I do kind of boils down to three different things. things. I do trademark registrations, I write contracts, and I form a lot of LLCs in Colorado. I do a lot in between all of that, but those are kind of the three main things that I focus on. My billing in my law practice is a mix of flat fees and hourly. So with flat fees, I have set flat fees, or I will give someone a flat fee for the work that they need done. With the hourly stuff, that I basically just bill for my time. Whatever they need, however long it takes me, I bill for my time. My standard hourly rate currently is $300 an hour. But practically speaking, realistically, I have a lot of clients that I charge less than that, either $200 or $250 an hour. So it's between that $200 and $300 an hour range. And when I bill clients hourly, I say we in the legal world, most lawyers bill on 1/10 of an hour or 6-minute increments. So if I spend like a half an hour on something, I'm not making $300 for that. I'm making $150, or, depending on how much I'm billing them, or my hourly rate in that case, I'm making some portion of that. And then my flat fees, there's a broad spectrum there. Most of my flat fees start at around $1,000, and then it goes up to maybe $4,000 or $5,000, depending on exactly what my client needs done. How much do I work? I think that's important. Compared to many of my lawyer colleagues, I probably don't work nearly as much as they do. I know a lot of lawyers, it's very common to work 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I don't do that. Now, those people who do, they're probably making a heck of a lot more money than I am. I'd say on average, I work probably 30 to 35 hours a week. I usually start around 8 or 9 in the morning. I'm typically tapped out by 3, maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon at the latest. Fridays, I usually put in like a half day. I'm done hopefully around noon, maybe around like 1 or 2. I don't work on weekends typically, and I try not to work on like the major holidays, a random, President's Day or Memorial Day. Those days I usually do end up working. It's just any other Monday. But I think it's important to kind of take all this into account, because like the normal, impression of lawyers is that we make a ton of money, and some of us do make a ton of money, but we also usually work a ton of hours, and I don't do that. All right, and last little thing before we really get into the numbers, look at how much I made last year. These numbers that I'm going to show you, this is my gross revenue. These numbers aren't taking into account any of my operating expenses, none of my operating costs, nothing like that. So this really isn't an accurate representation of how much I personally made. This is not how much actually ends up in my bank account. This is the gross revenue that I made last year. All right, now with all of that being said, with no further ado, let's look at how much money I made in 2022. Let's start with my law practice. So the total gross revenue for 2022 was $255,448.79. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. This number includes money that was reimbursed by some of my clients. So I pay things like filing fees and some other costs on behalf of my clients. I invoice them and they reimburse me for that. This number also includes some of my brand partnerships, my sponsored video income, because I use my same software that I invoice my clients. I use that to invoice for some of these brand partnerships. So if we take out those numbers, if we take out those expenses and those brand partnerships, then my actual total for 2022 from my law practice is $215,882.30. With my online course Brandish, I raised the price of it in the beginning of 2022, I think. So some of the income from 2022 would have been at the lower price. Right now, currently, the raised price, I charge $497 for that course, or 3 monthly payments of $189. And so in 2022, the total I made for that was $7,445.90. So if we're looking at my total lawyer numbers, how much I made from being a lawyer, that total is about $223,328 for 2022. So now let's get into my YouTuber / influencer numbers. From YouTube in 2022, I made $44,109.54. Most of that, the majority of that, was from the ad revenue from my videos and stuff. A small portion of that, about $737, $200 was from fan funding. So like super thanks, I think is what it's called. And some of my channel memberships, thank you for all of that, by the way, is about $700. And then YouTube Premium, which I don't actually really know what that means, but $277 from that. Grand total directly from YouTube, $44,109.54. If you're wondering, well, like how many views did you get? How many subscribers? Blah, blah, blah. My views for 2022, 914.6 thousand, it looks like. My total watch time was about 82.8 thousand. For some context, as far as I know, looking into my analytics, my watch time and my views has been pretty consistent over the last few years. My ad revenue has gone up quite a bit, but my views doesn't, like, I don't have any viral videos where I get a huge number of views off of them. That all stays pretty consistent. I also had a big spike in ad revenue towards like the end of the summer, around July, August, September. My ad revenue went way up in those months. Why? I don't know, but it did. And then it kind of went back down, averaged out. Normally, most months, I'd say I hover around the kind of 3,000 a month mark, most months. With my brand partnerships, so the companies that pay me to talk about them in videos, total last year, I made $6,300 off of that. How much I charge for those, it varies. It's usually between $800 to like $1,500 per video, depending on exactly what they want me to do and how kind of involved they want to be in the video. So around, let's say, 1,000 per video. That's a fine average, I guess. And then connected to that, like I said, is that affiliate income, the affiliate marketing. When someone clicks a link and I make some money, I have 3 different programs that I use to track those things and to track those links and everything. From one of them, the total was $13,438. Another was $3,710.35, and the last one was $9,335.67. So grand total for the affiliate marketing stuff last year was $26,484.02. So as a YouTuber slash influencer, I hate saying influencer, but I guess that's technically the word. As a YouTuber slash influencer, my total for 2022 was $76,893.56. So if we're adding all of it together, grand total for everything from what I made in 2022, the grand total, if we're taking out those client expenses that I explained in the beginning, that's $300,221.80. Like I said, again, that is not how much actually ended up in my pocket or in my bank account. That does not include any of my costs, my operating expenses, the stuff I pay for, the people I pay for. So really, I mean, my CPA hasn't finished my taxes yet, but I'd say the actual, like what I actually made was probably about half of that. That might be a good estimate of it. And again, that's not even counting like taxes either. Whew, man, a lot of my money goes to taxes. A lot of our money goes to taxes in general. And also, like I said, I don't work a whole lot, 30, 35 hours a week. I could probably, if I wanted a real kind of normal lawyer job, I could probably actually be making $300,000 a year. That actually goes all into my bank account. But I would be having to work 300,000 hours a year probably to do that. And I don't want to do that. So in case anyone's wondering, I'm quite happy with how my numbers look in relation to how much time and effort goes into my business and into the work that I do. So I hope that's interesting for some of you. I hope it's helpful for some of you. If it was, if you learned a thing or two, or if you just had a good time, give me a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe and click that little bell so you get notified anytime I post a new video. If you want to stay all up in my business, the next video that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna be talking about my business again, because this year I actually split my business into 2 technical, legal, different entities. And I get a lot of questions from you guys about, like, should I do this as one LLC? Should I have 2 LLCs for this? So I'm going to explain why I did that, why I separated my business into 2 businesses next week. So make sure you subscribe if you want to check that out. And finally, of course, check the description for links to additional information and resources. If you want to keep this all up in your business party going, I've got another great video that you can check out. I will put it right here and I'll meet you over there. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Aiden Durham, and I'll see you next time.